Dear everybody, I am Pascal Moll, Research Director at INRAE, in the Reversal Research Unit, and I will present you today a presentation about raw sewage treatment by vertical flow wetlands. The historical development of the system, which is classically called the French system, is a two-stage process with two stages of vertical flow system. The first one is implemented with 3 parallel filters that will accept raw wastewater. It means that there is only a screening at the inlet. There is no pre-treatment. And the second stage that is here to fulfill the treatment and reach full aerobic degradation of pollutants. So the main particularity of the system is that on the first stage we will treat the wastewater, of course, but as well the sludge over years. So there is more than 5,000 systems in France working for communities, and with more than 30 years of experience for the oldest one. One of the particularities manage this organic deposits that will develop on the first stage system, that we need to make a feeding alternation between feed and rest period to be able to mineralize the sludge. And so in temperate climate, where we have 3 filters in parallel, we will have 3 days and a half feeding and 1 week of rest for each filter. But in tropical climate, there is only 2 filters. As you can see in this draw, this figure, that thanks to the warmer temperature all the year, we can decrease the surface of the system. Even if as performances will be higher than in temperate climates, if we do not have too much stringent outlet requirements, we can only work with 1 stage in many cases. So there is a guideline that exists about the different variants of French system in tropical climates that you can download on internet. About stormwater events that can bring huge amount of water at the treatment system, what we observe that we can accept huge load, hydraulic load, as long as it is not every day. And so here you have a graph on the left that shows on a 2000 PE treatment plant the different hydraulic loads that we measured over a 2 years period. And we can observe that half of the events are above the nominal load in terms of hydraulic, and even load that can reach more than 5 meters a day on the filter in operation, which is something like 15 or 16 times dry weather condition, which is really important. So to design the system to accept as well hydraulic overload for stormwater events, or we can have a security factor, that means increasing from 25% the surface of each filter to accept huge load, or we can optimize the design with a dynamic simplified model that you can find in this publication that will allow to better shape and design the filter. Which is very important is the particle size that we will implement in each filter. So there is different layers. A first layer which is important for the treatment, and then a transition layer and a drainage layer. And for the first stage, as we are working with raw wastewater, we need to work with specific materials, which is gravel, not too tiny, not too big, to be sure that the organic deposit will stay on the top, not too much inside the filter, and that aeration will be good enough to ensure aerobic condition for biological degradation. So basically on the first stage we are working with gravel, 2.4 millimeter, 2.6 or 3.6 millimeters, but not smaller and not bigger. For the second stage, we will use sand with a very specific characteristic as well to ensure that the system will work properly in terms of performances, but as well to avoid any clogging on the long term. What we observe in such conditions that the system is able to ensure the concentration you have on the left. 15 for BOD, 90 for COD, 15 for TSS, and 15 for TKN. That's what we can guarantee, but on average or in median, the concentration are lower than that. So on the graph on the right, what you can see is cumulative percentage distribution of the concentration we observed in full-scale system in France. And you can see, so in black, the inlet concentration distribution, in gray, the outlet of the first stage, and in yellow, the outlet of the second stage. And what we can observe is that for COD, BOD, and TSS, the first stage is doing the main job. And the second stage is more here to finish and polish the treatment. But for TKN, for nitrification, then we can see that the efficiency of nitrification depends on both stages. The question we had behind that is it possible to improve a little bit the efficiency of the first stage to be able to work without the second stage? Because sand is sometimes difficult to find locally, and as well to decrease the footprint of the system and decrease the investment cost of the system. So what we can do to improve the performances is increasing the depth of the filtration layer. And what we can see here is that performances for COD, dissolved COD and ammonia increase with the depth, but the main part of the treatment is done in the first 30-40 centimeters of the filter. And so if we increase the depth, we can improve a little bit or decrease the variation at the outlet, but not so much. So if we go to 90 centimeters of filtration layer filter, then we can reach those performances for the first stage, ensure these performances, but it's maybe not enough according to the control. Another possibility is to make a recirculation from the outlet of the system to the inlet, and so we will increase the hydraulic load, obviously, but we will have a dilution effect in the effluent. And what we observe is that the performances of the filter itself still the same as long as the hydraulic load stay below 70 centimeters per day. If we design a system with 1.5 square meter per PE for the whole first stage and 100% of recirculation, then we can improve the performances of the whole system. And here you have on the left a figure that presents according to the inlet concentration of COD, what we will get for jet nitrogen, what we'll get at the outlet according to the inlet concentration and to the circulation ratio. And so you can see, for example, if you enter at 80 milligrams per liter of jet nitrogen, the black line in the middle, then if you do 100% recirculation, you can reach 20, or almost 20 at the outlet. But there is a zone that you do not have to go. It's when the hydraulic load is higher than 70 centimeters, because in that case, you have a clogging risk on the long term. But thanks to that, with the circulation, you can ensure this outlet concentration, which is quite good in many contexts, but obviously nitrification will not be full. And as well, recirculation means electricity on the site. If we want to work without electricity, another possibility is to work with a vertical flow system, unsaturated on the upper part, like a classical French system, but saturated on the lower part. An increased drainage layer depth. Thanks to that, we will reduce the water flow velocity in the saturated layer, and so we will increase the solid entrapment in the system, and as well we will implement a zone, anoxic zone, where denitrification will occur, and then we will consume carbon as well for denitrification. So here you have a graph that represents the denitrification efficiency we can have according to the hydraulic retention time into the saturated zone, and as well according to COD and nitrate ratio that arrived in this anoxic zone. And so you can see that the more your retention time is high, the better will be denitrification performances. And the higher is the ratio, COD nitrate, the higher as well will be the performances. What we observe is that in tropical climates, denitrification is really fast and efficient, and so we are not obliged to implement huge retention time into the saturation layer. So here you have an example for what we can observe for solids. And so that means that we need to implement a saturated zone at least of 40 centimeters to ensure that solid at the outlet of this stage will be below 35 milligrams per liter. Then here the performances that you can ensure with the system. So it's really high for BOD, COD, TSS for only one stage treatment. But for nitrogen, it will depend on the depth of the filtration layer of the unsaturated zone, the depth of the saturated zone, and as well if you implement or not recirculation. So if you implement recirculation with a high unsaturated depth layer, then you can reach until 90% of nitrification. But in that case, total nitrogen will be low, around 40. And if you want to optimize TN removal, then you can go until 70%, but not more, because in that case, you will have less nitrification. Another possibility is to go until intensified system. And here you have an example of the rhizosphere process from EcoBird company, which is a system with only two filters in parallel, an unsaturated layer on the top, but very teeny, just to store the sludge on the top and treat the sludge on the top. And below, there is a 1 meter deep saturated zone in which, at the bottom, we will blow air to furnish oxygen to the biomass. Works as two filters in parallel here, with the separation in the middle, but the separation is only for the unsaturated layer. And when we feed a system, we have first a mix of vertical and horizontal flow in this saturated layer below, and then on the secondary filter, which is on the rest for the upper part, we'll have an horizontal flow system. As we need to manage the sludge, we need to make alternation, and so with alternation we will feed the other system, and to ensure that we use the whole saturated layer on the whole system, then we will close electrovalve close to the filter which is implemented, and open the other one at the opposite to force the water to go to the opposite of the filter. So it means electricity. It's a little bit more technological, but it's only one stage system, around 1 square meter per people equivalent, and thanks to that we can reach very high level of performance. And so for COD, BOD and TSS is very high, and outlet concentration are very often close to the limit of detection for these parameters. We can do a full nitrification just with enough aeration, and for TN removal it will depend on the aeration strategy. If we do it by time, then we can reach 70% of removal for TM. If we do it by flow, then we can reach until 80% of removal for total nitrogen. And we are actually working on controlling aeration according to oxygen content, oxygen measurement into the system. And in that case, we expect to go even further. Thank you for your attention, and happy to answer any question.